Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Rangers, and I'm here to talk about Game 61 of the regular season, where the Rangers win 3-2 in overtime to the Philadelphia Flyers, and that is not the main story of the evening. Look, we'll get to the game. We'll talk about yesterday first, because the New York Rangers go out and acquire forward Patrick Kane from the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for a second-round pick conditional and a fourth-round pick to the Blackhawks, along with a third-round pick that goes to the Arizona Coyotes for cap retention. The condition on the second-round pick is that if you make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, that turns into a first-round pick. Think the Andrew Kopp trade from last season, and holy fleece, Batman! Like 2 weeks ago, this was thought to be multiple firsts, multiple prospects, a big marquee trade, and a mixture of the Rangers more or less saying, yeah, we are not interested, along with most teams saying that. And then Patrick Kane just flat out saying, hey, I'm not going anywhere but New York, so have fun with no bartering chip, allowed the Rangers to go out and get one of the biggest steals in recent deadline history, maybe in deadline history, period. You're getting a player with 1,300, or almost 1,300, NHL points, like 1,299 NHL points, a MVP award, a Ted Lindsay award, a Conn Smythe, 3 Stanley Cups, one of the best playoff performers in the past 20 years. And you're getting him while he's still relatively young, mid-30s, for a second that could maybe be a first, a third, and a fourth. Along with them retaining the majority of the cap, you're only going to take on 25% of that contract. Like, this is a bonkers deal. And caps off to Chris Drury, who just hardballed the hell out of the Chicago Blackhawks and then spent God knows how long working the deal out to make the cap space work. A magnificent deal, and the Rangers go out at the deadline and get Vladimir Tarasenkshow and Patrick Kane. Are you kidding me? And you might say, Weston, Patrick Kane is not who he was anymore. Look at his numbers this season. I would say, yes, he is having a down year on a team that might be the worst team in the National Hockey League, actively trying to be terrible, racing to the bottom, doing everything possible to get Connor Bedard. I think it's very, very likely that he was, not really trying that hard, because after all of it started to break that no one really wanted to go trade for him, he more or less put on a showcase in his last 4 games where he had 7 goals in 4 games, 10 overall points. For reference, in the first 50 games of the year, he had 9 goals. In the last 4, he had 7. I think he was just kind of checked out mentally from the team around him being garbage, and then finally was like, all right, I'll show you what I have. So enough about the trade. We now head on to the actual game of the evening, which, sadly, Patrick Kane did not make his Rangers debut. If he had, I don't think it would have been a 3-2 overtime victory for the New York Rangers. Under normal conditions, I would not be jumping off rooftops, celebrating, and going wild over a 3-2 overtime mess of a win by the New York Rangers on 3 days rest over a team that's somewhat in the Bedard race. Now, that being said, these are very not normal conditions. The New York Rangers come into this game after a week of what's just been a media whirlwind with the whole Kane trade, because everyone knew it was coming forever ago. It finally was official yesterday. That's been going on around the team. Keandre Miller got suspended after the Kings game, which means you're missing one of your top defensemen, probably the 3rd best defenseman on the team, maybe the 4th, no matter how you want to slice it. A very good defenseman. On top of that, Lindgren is still out of the lineup, and so you roll into this game with 5 defensemen missing 2 of your top 4 as well, and that meant that Ben Harpur and Nico Mikkola both had to play 22-plus minutes, which is not a recipe for great defense. And to top that off, you were missing a centerman, which meant you rolled into tonight with 11 forwards and 5 defensemen for 16 total players on the bench. You were a Hedl, Trocheck, or Zibanejad injury away from Yaroslav Halak having to go out to take faceoffs. So with all that in mind, I think it's fair to be happy about this win. I don't think it's like, it was this, and this. You were missing 2 players. The fact that you won is actually surprising. So the Rangers would get on the board first in this game. Vladimir Tarasenkshow sets up Mika Zibanejad for a one-timer on the power play, and Mika slapper scores. It's 1-0 Rangers, his 32nd of the year. Mika Zibanejad continuing his climb to one of the just low-key 40-goal seasons in recent memory. However, towards the end of the first period, on the third power play of the game, the Philadelphia Flyers finally break through. And Adam Fox attempts to clear this puck. And instead of clearing the puck, he sends it tape to tape to Owen Tippett in front, completely alone. I mean, what do you want Igor Shesterkin to do here? This is a laughingly bad play from Adam Fox, and if he would have not played 30 minutes tonight, I probably would have been a lot more harsh on him, but you know, he played half the game tonight. And then midway through the second period, the Flyers just Scott Lawton right in front. This was just a beautiful, beautiful shot by Lawton. No goalie is stopping that. It was placed perfectly in the top corner. It was just a tip of the cap masterpiece of a shot. And it's 2-1 Flyers. And at that moment, that dark little thought starts to come into your mind of, oh my god, we're going to lose to the Flyers. And it's probably going to be like a 2-1 loss to the Flyers. Because Carter Hart was just bodying people. He was amazing tonight. And then every time the Rangers would give up a shot, which to credit the Rangers defense, they did not give up a ton of shots. 28 is not bad for a game that would go to overtime. But it was every time they gave up a shot, they were just giving up the shot. And with that in mind, Igor Shesterkin's 26 of 28 might not look that impressive on a stat sheet, but holy lord was he magnificent in net tonight. And even though they got outshot in the third period, the Rangers started pressing and dominating puck possession in the third period, just keeping the puck in the offensive zone what felt like the entire period. And eventually, Vladimir Tarasenkshow with the puck fires one towards the net. Chris Kreider with a just wonderful tip in front. Tips it home, ties the game at 2 apiece. Kreider's 26th of the year. Kreider, who's going to have a very quiet 30-goal season, by the way, and the Rangers tie it at 2 apiece. And it looks like you're going to head to overtime, and then Igor Shesterkin had to make 2 just bonkers saves in the last, 20 seconds to even get you there because the defense had completely fallen apart. And again, I'd be a little harsher on them if they hadn't all played 22 minutes, and in some cases over 25. And in one's case, almost 30. And it became abundantly clear once you got to overtime. The only reason the Rangers didn't completely flatten Philadelphia tonight was because they had 16 of 18 players. When players were able to sit on the bench and come in rested from previous shifts, they ran away with it. If you told me the Flyers possessed the puck for more than 20 seconds in all of overtime, I would be genuinely shocked. The Rangers looked so far and away better than the Flyers in OT. Philip Hedl had it in the neutral zone. He passes it to Vladimir Tarasenkshow, who politely steps around Morgan Frost, races into the offensive zone, uses Ristolainen like a turnstile, snipes one on net, nothing Carter Hart can do about it, and the Rangers win it in overtime 3-2. And he was truly the star of the evening. Vladimir Tarasenkshow, with 2 primary assists and the game winner in overtime for a 3-point night, had a hand on every single goal the Rangers scored. And coming into a game where after his first few as a Ranger, where they were relatively quiet and the fan base was kind of saying, well, maybe he wasn't that good of an acquisition, and maybe we overpaid, and maybe he's not going to be great for us, kind of just put that to bed. He looked fantastic tonight, and for being 2 men down, I think the Rangers should be relatively happy with how they played tonight. Specifically, I thought Igor Shesterkin and Vladimir Tarasenkshow had magnificent games tonight. And now, the Rangers head back to Madison Square Garden tomorrow night for the second night of a back-to-back with travel, which, normal circumstances, you'd expect the team to go into that game tired and groggy and not know what to expect. That being said, tomorrow night, in the world's most famous arena, Patrick Kane will be making his Rangers debut. I don't think there is any shot the team goes into that game not looking juiced out of their minds. I am as excited for a regular season game as I have ever been for tomorrow night to see what the Rangers do with Patrick Kane in the lineup. Patrick Kane's a Ranger. Can you guys believe it? That'll be tomorrow at 7 o'clock in Madison Square Garden against the Ottawa Senators. and I'll be here afterwards to talk about it. But as for right now, that's all I have. So if you enjoyed the video, please consider to like and subscribe. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Rangers.